So please introduce yourself, tell us your names and also tell us your school and what it is that you do.
My name is Sylvia Kamotho. I am the managing director of Kinderville schools. We have campuses in Sabaki, Syokimau, and Kitengela. And we take care of children from the age of 2, that's your kindergarten, all the way to primary and junior secondary.
Okay, so you've got one school in 3 locations or 3 different schools?
I've got 3 campuses, meaning the 2 locations, Syokimau and Kitengela, have kindergarten, but have the potential to grow into primary and junior secondary organically. But in Sabaki, we have the full kindergarten, primary, and junior secondary.
And are these schools doing CBC system?
Definitely.
Okay.
We are doing the Kenyan curriculum, and I'm very proud of our curriculum. It has many flaws, but I think it is our duty as Kenyans and as educators in Kenya to make it work. Yeah.
So because you've been doing this, how do you say, for 12 years?
Yes.
It means that you have definitely seen the transition. And of course, somebody who's gone through the Kenyan system, you have seen the transition from KCPE, CBC, and now I think I'm even hearing it's CBE. But tell me about the positives that you see in this new curriculum, because you're saying you're proud of it.
I went through the 844. The KCP is an examination at primary level. So I can tell the 844 system was more about putting everybody in one tunnel. Like, all of you do this number of subjects, do this exam, you get these results, and then we have a cutoff point. You guys go to university, the rest of you figure it out. CBC is about every child's potential, meaning every child has potential. So it's up to you as a parent and the school to figure out what's my child's potential, because every learner has potential. So CBC is about discovering each child's potential. That's the difference. Whereas 844 was about academics purely. But CBC is more about every child's ability. Maybe you're more gifted in math, and then you have a child who's gifted in sports. So how do you have both get A's in their different areas? Then you have that child who is neither great in sports or math. How do you then just find out what is their greatness? And then you nurture that. And some of it, because of how we are wired, it is not obvious on the surface. You have to dig deeper. You have to pull out this greatness from them. You have to understand this child and then figure out, oh, this child is kind, is very social, is very good in organizing, has different skills that are not examinable.
Yes.
So you nurture that.
Wow. Okay, now I want to stick a little bit here, because it's I can imagine you as a school owner having to then educate your teachers, principal on this new system. How do you permeate this new culture throughout your schools, and even to parents? You know, parents may not have gone through this, did not go through this system, and now we're talking about transition. Change is always hard on people, whether even change is for the better. And what I'm hearing from you is that this is a good change from case 844 to CBC and now CBE.
So I'll tell you what, it's a personal journey. I was not your A student in school, but if I had been given the right environment, I'd have had an A in a different, maybe not a doctor, lawyer, but I'd have had an A in something. But the system didn't allow. So the teachers have started to understand what that looks like, but they need a lot of support and training from us, maybe the school owners or just the ministry in general. For the parents, you have to keep educating them and you have to keep having conversations with them. So maybe for us, it wasn't CBC didn't shock us, because when I started the school, I still was trying to figure out what can we do to give this child who comes to our school a balanced experience. So I always balanced everything because I was that child who was not very good in sports and I was not very good in class. I was just that child who was in class. So maybe from my experience in the schools I went to, I was like, we have to do school differently, because I was lucky or blessed to just get opportunities because maybe somebody outside of the school system saw something in me. So by the time CBC was coming, we were already doing a lot more with what the children can do as we do the academics.
Explain to me what, we like using this word, qua ground. So what does this translate to on the ground in your school? When you're talking about, yes, there was this, maybe at that time it was the KCPE. So what were you adding to bring this holistic learning?
For us, initially, we were doing, we were taking care of their well-being, emotional well-being. So we've had a school counselor for the longest. We've had a school nurse just to take care of them because sometimes when a child is sick in class, that teacher has to first give attention to that child, leaving the other 20, 22 children. So we've always had supportive, a support team to support the teacher.
I get it.
Then we've always had co-curricular programs that sort of almost have the same amount of time as class time. So it was always balanced. And then eventually we have a leadership process that we take our children through. And not just our children, all our staff go through that process. So it's incorporated in the daily learning. So when you come to our school, on the timetable you will find math. On the timetable you will find leadership. You will find a quiet time. You will find co-curricular. You will find the counselor's time. So it's not your ordinary timetable where you have math, English, Kiswahili. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's you are forward thinking because of experience. I can relate because what I do did not exist when I was graduating university. So how do you explain that to parents and things like that? But for you, I want to go into, unfortunately, being forward thinking, then it may bring difficulty with the institution because of the kind of people then that you are recruiting to then continue this philosophy and agenda that you have for holistic teaching. And again, I'll also go back and say, there's the parents who are not coming from that mentality. You are teaching about a future which the kids are going to live in and not about where we are today. You're preparing the child for the future and not for where we are today.
So I would say because our leadership process involves everybody, from the security guard to the kitchen staff to the gardener. In fact, our gardener is one of our champions for leadership.
Wow.
So we teach and live the 7 habits of highly effective people. You can check them out. That's by the late Dr. Stephen Covey. So they have a program or process for schools called The Leader in Me. So all of you must go through that process, which then forms our culture. What we've done in the past is we've trained the teachers so that they can train the children. So initially the children have lessons in the timetable where they learn these habits, they learn the principles, they learn the practices. But over time, after about 2 years, they should be able to, it should be integrated in their language, in their math, in their everyday. And we've seen it happen. We've also taken our parents through that, but I think we need to do more work in educating the parent. Because once they understand that this process just adds more to your child's life skills. You see, we look at children as if they're just meant to come to school and just get an education, which has been, I would say, has a wrong definition in our minds. Education is not coming to school to gain knowledge or information. I think education is about acquiring skills, developing emotionally, socially, mentally. It's not just, putting in information. It's just about allowing this child to develop. So we've had to do a lot of conversations with our parents. I remember at the beginning of this term, no, rather, beginning of the year, I felt we needed to do something more progressive. I looked around and I was like, what are the other schools doing? Not in Kenya, but outside the world. What are they studying? What are these skills? Even if you just look at a simple, I wouldn't call it simple, but the World Economic Forum. I've been looking at that document for the last 2 years. Most of these careers we are pushing our children to study will not exist in the next 5 years. Some of our children are in kindergarten. I don't even want to imagine what their careers will look like in 20 years. We have not thought about it. You said it. When you were in school, what you're doing did not exist. But what skills do you need to solve the problems in your time? So the programs we run and how we run our learning is about making sure you acquire the skills. Some of the skills, not some, all the skills are timeless. Whether you live in an AI world or traditional, you need to be creative. You need to have problem-solving skills. You need to have proper communication skills. You need to know how to work with others, collaboration. You need to have the love to learn how things are happening. You've challenged us about AI and, our trip here has really challenged us. If we don't learn as a school owner, if I don't continue learning, my team will not continue learning and our children will not continue learning. So we have to develop that love for learning. That's a skill that is timeless, whether you live 100 years
True that.
or you lived 20 years. So I think our education or how we run learning in Kinderville is just, we want the children to have those skills. But there's a common paradigm that you must go to school and read and write and come back with homework and do exams so that as a parent, we know that you're learning. But how about you observe your child, how they just do simple tasks, how they communicate. If there's a challenge in the family, how do they cope with that challenge? How do they communicate about their feelings? How do they contribute to that challenge or solution? When they're playing with their friends out there, how are they coping? Who are they beyond school? Because school is not a separate thing they do. That's life for them. So anyway, in a nutshell, we just want children, when they come to our school, the minute they enter our gate, they know they're in a space where they can explore. And they are seen and they know that they are great, and we're there to help them nurture, develop, without putting them in a box. But we have a challenge where we still have to tick that box. But what I've learned is you need to keep educating your community, your teachers, your parents, that yes, we are still teaching math and English and science, but meanwhile, these are the other skills that are not examinable and cannot be taught in a class, but will be taught through life, and life happens in school every day.
Okay, first of all, you sound very passionate about what it is that you do. You sound very passionate about developing the students. I'll keep saying this, for the world that they are going to, getting them ready. Now, you also sound like an anomaly within the education system that you are in. Somebody who's already understood it, got it, and is running with it. I say all that to say that your trip here must be so affirming in what you have seen, in what you have experienced, in knowing that in knowing that I'm on the right path. Can you speak about your experience here?
I think I'll start from, yes, you're right. This experience, even if I don't do anything, and that's unlike me, I am a very good student. So if there's something I've learned, I apply it. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to go back. My trip here, and I think I shared this with you, just affirmed everything we're doing in our school. I'm a firm believer that these children, including my own children, are a gift. we're just but custodians of these gifts. And God has trusted us to prepare them to do, because I have already know what my purpose on this earth is. God has trusted us to make sure that even these children, as young as they are, know who they are and what their purpose is. And then they can be able to pass that along to the next generation.
What's your purpose?
Wow. I keep saying that my purpose is to nurture greatness in the little children that I work with, but I've found that I also do it with my team. I'm one of those children who was never noticeable. But I believe it's one person just noticed me, which happened later in life. They were able to see, oh, this girl has something in her. How about if I held her hand and did ABCD? So I'm able to see that and say, hey, why don't you run with this? Even when I'm hiring, I just don't hire blindly. I listen, I watch, then I'm like, okay, I think we can work with this. So back to your question, what did I discover on this trip? I've always desired more for our school and for the children that we work with, because I'm like, we cannot always just do the same thing, tick the box, and think we're making a difference. So we've started off a few programs, and we're trying to balance with parents' expectations. But what I've realized is that they came to us because they trust us. And when you join our school, we tell you what our program is. We tell you, and we accept every child. And those children, as we accept your child, we also do a bit of assessment. Not to check if you fit the bill, but to see what would your needs be when you join our school. So we don't say no. And even when we do, we walk that other journey with you. Like, okay, we are not the best school for your child because they need a different kind of attention or support. But if we admit your child and they still need learning support, we have partners that we work with. So what I've learned from this trip is the children are the center of everything in Estonia. Their well-being, their health. You remember there's a school we went to and they're very keen on the diet. They give them breakfast and 2 lunches because they're very important for their development, especially their intellectual development. They're very big on their well-being emotionally. So even the way the class is structured, they allow the children to be and to lead their own learning. They're very big on movement. Physical. So we've seen, all the schools we visited, there's many breaks in between the lessons. The children don't sit all morning or the entire lesson. They go out, they do work in groups, they learn outdoors. So we've done a bit of that, but we can improve. So I think the other thing I felt was the specialization in terms of, here they're big on, you find there's a school that's big on coding, there's a school that's big on, like the school guys went to yesterday, I missed that
robotics
session.
Yes.
There's a school that's big on robotics, there's a school that's big on nature.
Oh, yes.
But nonetheless, the child is still the center of this learning. So how would I compare, or I think you asked me how affirming this trip was. I've done all these processes in my school and programs because of the child. It's not about money. It's because of the child. And just coming here and seeing that they have invested so much on the child, it just affirms what we're doing. The one thing I'll take away is they've also invested in their teachers. I can do better. Actually, I have a long way to go, and that's going to be my next step. Surprisingly, last year when we were setting up when we were planning for the year, I remember telling my team, we need to focus on our team. We focused on the children. There's nothing we've not done for the children. Emotional, health, physical, everything. We focused on the parents. we've not focused on our team. So now that for me was just because that was December last year. Then coming here and hearing and seeing how they value their teachers, what they do for their teachers, how they make sure that their teachers have time off, they have a really good space to unwind. They're flexible in how they run the curriculum. So that's
The autonomy.
The autonomy, yes. So long as you're, the way, the metrics of success for them on a teacher is so different from us. Ours is grades. For them, it's just a whole different game. Lastly, the digital integration in learning. Man. Whoa. I think for me, that's going to be my biggest takeaway. I'm already steps ahead.
When you say you're steps ahead, what does that mean?
First, last year, we ensured that all our classrooms had digital integration in this manner. Our classes are fitted with interactive projectors, all classes from kindergarten to grade 9. What that does is it allows the teacher to vary the lesson so that the teacher is not just standing there and writing. They can project a video, and our Lead and Me process has a lot of content online that we use. YouTube videos and all other learning platforms. They can project that to support the learning. So what I saw in Estonia is that their learning is so varied. That 45 minutes has a digital element where the children, these ones even use their phones in class. Yep. So there's a QR code where a group goes there and scans and answers. There's a YouTube song. There's VR. I mean, there's so much you can do. So we are, maybe I'd say 20%. There's a lot more we can do. We've digitized our textbooks, which means the child does not have to have all 13 learning areas, 13 books in their bags to revise. If they want to revisit content, they can log in via OPIC and access math. If they want to do extra work at any time, even the parent can assign some work and say, you know what, why don't you revisit this topic and do? If they want to do some reading. So I think digitizing the textbooks for me was a big win. We just need to get our children used to it, our parents, but our team was fully on board, makes their work easier, makes their planning easier. So I'd say, yeah, one of the things I'm going to improve on is digitization. But what I've also learned is it's a blend. Even here in Estonia, in Finland, Sweden, not everything is on digital. Digital just makes the learning more fun. It's a tool. Makes the work easier for the teacher, so then they have more time to do personalized learning, group work, and rest. Today we went to practical. And science has been one of those languages that's only for a few, the A students. But when we went through that presentation, I realized it's because it's so complex and the way we deliver it, the practical makes it more fun and realistic. So any child, even a 2-year-old or even a 50-year-old would be interested in physics, for example, in chemistry, because the way the content has been created, the way the kits have been done, anybody would love science. So one of the things I'm going to implement is taking care of my team and practical for this year.
I love it. Okay, in a different, outside of the formal learnings that you've done, has there been any informal learning that this experience has opened your eyes to?
Definitely. I think my experience in the 3 countries, there's so much order. I think that stems from a culture. Here, I think when I was talking to one of the Kenyans who lives here, when you move here, you have 2 weeks orientation. So that you're not crossing the road anyhow. You're not walking on the wrong side of the road. there are markings everywhere. So I'm supposed to be walking here. The bicycles are supposed to be. So I think if you can even start that in your own home, where people know you're expected to behave a certain way, if everybody was to do the right thing, then life becomes easier. It's so easy, even when you're a foreigner here, it's so easy to know, I'm going to this place, it's safe, this works and that works. So even in our school system, I've seen, when we went to those schools, when we asked them, how do they manage the phone use in school? Because we sat through lessons where children were, at some point the teacher would ask them to use their phones to do an assessment, so that the teacher can see, have they learned, what is the process, what is the progress of each child. And before then, they've had the phones for like 20, 30 minutes. Their phones are on the desk. Nobody's checking the phone. They're all focused on the different activities. By the time it's time to use a phone, they use a phone. When it's done, they stop and continue. And every school we've gone to, we've asked, how is it that you're able to, it's part of life for them. They have values. They use the phones at home and in school, but they know that in school, the phone is for learning. In fact, the last school I went to, they said even during break, you'll not find them in a corner going to funny sites or sending messages. There's no bullying on those groups, because they've been at home, the parents have done their work, and in school, they're just reinforcing it. So I think the order and the discipline. I remember one school, they only had, a school that has almost 350 children, had one cleaner, one chef, and one janitor. An entire block of 4 floors. Why? Because the teacher is responsible. In that class, they clean up. So they only come and clean in the evening. So one person, after everybody has left, can spend 2-3 hours and clean the entire school. So I think just taking personal responsibility for your space, and if everybody did that, I mean, it would make everybody else's work easier. Yeah.
I'll ask this question and then one last one. You had the opportunity to meet the Kenyan diaspora. What was it like for you interacting with the Kenyan diaspora?
I think, first of all, they're brave. I hear we came at a time when the weather is lovely. But I remember when we were hanging out with them at the beach, hey, I was just kept asking what time we're leaving. Not because I was not having a good time, it was very cold, but I think they're brave to come to a foreign country and just take over, because they have really good jobs. So young Kenyans, I think, from students to young Kenyans below 40 with families. So I was very impressed that somebody can just uproot themselves and come here. The other observation is that there's great opportunities here for schooling. One of the things I think I'll take away from this trip is they are so big on education. And I think education is what has then bred or give the results of the education, the focus on education is what has given opportunity for all this innovation. So them coming here to study also just sets them apart, because the way they learn is so different. So talking to all of them, they're working in all these big tech companies. I mean, they're working in Wise, they're working in Bolt. They're happy because, I mean, they only have to take care of their housing and their food. Medical is free, education is free.
Maternity is 2 years.
Maternity is 2 years. Transport is free. I mean, if you come here and you're focused, there's so much you can do. So, and I think the education here for university would be something I would really. I've been talking to my friends and asking them, have you thought about Estonia? Yes. So I've been taking notes. I'm going to share with them. And of course, I think one of the things you could do is do a university parents expo with their children to just come and explore uni. It sounds affordable compared to your America and your Canada, Australia.
Even Kenya.
especially Kenya. If you compare private university in Kenya, and not even the cost, I think just the progressive nature of this country, they're thinking 10, 20 years ahead. I think we're still doing, unfortunately, I could be wrong, but we're not thinking, we're not on the same level.